In the words of the legendary Lou Gellerman, hello, dog fans, and welcome to the Sound the Siren podcast, because everything matters, including calling a spade, and that being probably one of the worst weekends imaginable from a Husky fan perspective. Certainly not necessarily just losing to Iowa, but in the fashion that we did, continuing to see some of the mistakes that had cropped up earlier in the season rear their heads again against a better team. And then, of course, the thing in Autzen on Saturday night. I'm sure we'll get to that, too. But as usual, I'm your host, Hooligan7. I am joined tonight by Hood Husky, JCap, and DJK Woody. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Good.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah.
Real good.
Doing all right.
As always, we're, of course, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sound the Siren UW. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you're listening to our show. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to get notified when we post a new video. If you'd like to support Sound the Siren, you can do so at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/soundthesirenpoduw/support. We are also, of course, a proud member of the College Huddle. Please check out the other podcasts from the College Huddle Network and thecollegehuddle.com. Without further ado, let's jump into beverages, because that's at least a little bit more fun topic than recapping the game from Saturday morning. So, JCap, we'll start with you. What do you got tonight, buddy?
I'm going back to an old reliable. Got some little red wine here.
Very nice.
Okay.
Hood, did you find is it Essentia? Is it Skya?
Skyra.
The Sonic tap water?
Or is your European continued? The European tour.
I feel bad right now because it's actually on the other side of the room. But it is actually my own filtered water tonight. You know what I'm saying? So it's homegrown. It's organic, out of the faucet. But I am actually finishing off an Elysian Space Dust. Actually, I'm finishing that off a little bit.
Nice.
DJ, how about you?
Going back to the other old reliable, not White Claw, but the good old-fashioned tap water, filtered tap water. You know how to be.
Oh, here, I was about to.
That's what I'm saying.
I was going to guess
big dog.
you went to your old reliable of an IPA.
No IPA, never. Hey, real quick, what's your water of choice? If you can go to the store, what water bottle are you picking?
So,
PG.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be weird, but it's any brand that has like the actual like straw type suction cup, like the Smart Water or the Essentia.
Smart
with the
Water,
actual,
yeah.
like
Smart Water's good too.
Yeah, anything I can just kind of guzzle quick. Like I don't. Yeah.
For me, like if I do most of my grocery shopping at PCC, and not just for their beer section, but I think it's Proud Mountain or something. There's one that comes in an aluminum can. Just got a nice crisp flavor, and it's at a good price point too, so that helps. But matching kind of my feelings about the game, I'm drinking a Lucky Envelope sour this evening. In this case, the Thai spiced tea sour. It's a tea sour ale, classic Thai tea flavors: clove, star anise, orange peel, and vanilla with a sour finish. So it's nice, and I'm still a little bitter about the game on Saturday. So. But it's nice. All right, moving right along into stupid tweets. Anybody got anything? I've got one that I gotta do a hat tip to our buddy Coach V for sharing in the group chat today. I'll go first. And that was, I think it was. Let me find it. If somebody's got one, go ahead.
I don't necessarily have a stupid tweet, but I shared it in our group chat today.
That's a great tweet. Great tweet.
Just biggest S tier pause moment I've ever read on the X platform in my life. With I think it was Fetter's headline. I don't know, but UW men's basketball big man Wilhelm Breidenbach talks about why he decided to return to Washington and what it's like to having more big men to bang with in practice. Proofread. Try.
No Diddy, damn.
No Diddy. Where's the effort?
So I found it, and it's from GoCougs123, and it's how much would Boise State making the CFP help the Pac-12? I think it could help more than people think. Newsflash to Coug Nation: riding somebody another program's coattails doesn't really do much for you. And how much did it help the Pac-12 for Washington to go to the playoffs in 2016 and 2024? Yeah, when the leadership and the network deal is the problem, and the media powers that be that are running college football and destroying some of the things we love about college football. Yeah, how much is that going to help? But can we just? I mean, we got to workshop, or maybe I need to get on the old AI engine and come up with some coattail Coug graphics.
That's good.
But congrats, Boise State! You're now the Cougs' big brother.
Hey, somebody has to be.
Somebody got to take it over.
Yeah. Dang, I'm dry. Like I don't got after this weekend. I don't got nothing. No stupid tweets. Nothing. I got nothing to say.
You say you got no shit to talk. I found a little one that was a week ago, but Hooligan hopped on it too. But just a post by 6ix9ine Skull. It was posting a video of Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart and Trayshawn Holden dancing, and their highlights. And they said the best in the best in America, and Hooligan was like not even the best in the Pacific Northwest. It's real funny just because you might have one or two good games that people think that your wide receiver, your higher ranked wide receivers are better than they actually are. So you're arguably barely a top 5 wide receiver duo or trio in the Big Ten. So, which is not known for offense.
I mean, this is coming from a fan base that a couple years ago thought they had a better wide receiver group than Ohio State, and so
I just remember when Mike Hill Wright was better than Trent McDuffie.
Oh my god!
You know what I mean?
Troy Franklin better than all of our receivers.
The Ryan Shell-itis is contagious, clearly. About thinking their players are better than they are. Let's go ahead and move into, we'll talk Husky Couture, and I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that my Husky Couture of the week is something that's dropping from Home Field Apparel tomorrow. And that's that classic campus pullover that they're dropping for what they're calling the Gold Coast, so the West Coast schools. We haven't seen the full one, but if you've seen some of the other schools and how they handled that V-neck kind of lightweight pullover jacket, they're fire. So that's my choice of the week. Anybody else seen anything they really liked over the last 7 days?
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to say that mine is my shirt that I found while thrift shopping for some shit for my kids. I always, whenever I'm at a thrift shop, I always check for any sports gear, UW or Mariners or Seahawks or whatever. So I got this Adidas long sleeve for $2.
Nothing wrong with that.
I would like to shout out the Sound the Siren shop for sure, for all the dope stuff that's over there, from mugs to the dope stickers that that all my coworkers are rocking now. There's a ton of merch on there that's going to be available as well. You got the website for that? Come on.
Yeah.
Show that sticker. Show that sticker again. That sticker is so fire.
I will link that in the video, and shouts to our friends at 4th and Inches as well. Of course, their merchandise is not available over on Redbubble, but I will link that as well. And yes, we will continue to put some new stuff up. We'll probably do another round of stickers soon. But DJ, anything that you've seen lately that you liked? And thanks for that shout out. It's appreciated. We're going to be on our merch game.
I don't got nothing new, but yeah, stickers and everything with Sound the Siren. I like what Hood said there.
All right, let's get into the pain that was the Iowa matchup. Obviously, did not turn out the way that any of us would have hoped. I think certainly for me, one of the big keys, and I'm not saying that it changes the outcome of the game, but I think Max McCree going down early really impacted a lot of what we were trying to do. I'm not saying, like I said, that we win the game if he doesn't get hurt, but I let's call a spade a spade. I think this is Will Rogers' worst game as a Husky, and by a decent margin. He didn't have a great day. Iowa's defense kind of took a sledgehammer to some of what we were doing. We saw some of the red zone issues pop up again, and it's just a real frustrating. You know, again, we were productive and had some long drives. I mean, you put together in a couple of instances, looking real quick at the drive charts. You know, our first drive, 14 plays, 73 yards, 7.5 minutes, missed field goal. Next drive, 14 plays, 75 yards, 7 minutes and 14 seconds, touchdown. And then you go 3 plays, 4 yards, fumble. 3 plays, 4 yards, punt. 9 plays, 58 yards, field goal. Coming out of the half, 8 plays, 52 yards, throws and then the pick. 6 plays, 34 yards, turnover on downs. 4 plays, 9 yards, turnover on downs. 4 plays, 9 yards, turnover on downs. 17 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. At the end, and Iowa was able to capitalize on a lot of those misfires, and that the missed field goal to start the game led right to a touchdown for them on an 80-yard drive. They kicked field goals after each of the other 2 turnovers, and ultimately, they were able to be just solid and steady, and got us in a hole we couldn't dig ourselves out of.
Yeah, I think you're right. If we go up 14-7, like we probably should have, I mean, or even like, say we hold them to a field goal, 14-3, 14-7, we got a different game. Again, like you said, not saying we win, but I think if it's at 14-7, after the first 2 drives, like it's going to be a close game at the end, and who knows what could happen. And yeah, I mean, I think what everyone was saying in the offseason came true. Like our depth at O-line is a concern. Like we at the beginning of the season, our starting 5, when they're healthy, they're fine. They're enough for us to get by. But 1, 2 go down. We're without 2 starters. Once McCree went down, right, because guard was out.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have that depth, and we don't have any depth at all there. So that was huge. And so yeah, that's what we're talking about all off season with offensive line concerns and not getting another guy or 2 in the portal like we should have. I mean, I know like there's people are paying ridiculous amounts for guys, but sometimes you just got to overpay. And when you're at a position of need, especially at a key position like tackles. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a disappointing game. This is one of the times where I'm glad I have YouTube TV instead of Xfinity, because I have the quad box going. I can still have the Huskies game and watching that Bama game where South Carolina almost or maybe should have pulled it out. Yeah, it's just frustrating. I mean, same things we were dealing with all season. Red zone, penalties in the red zone. I mean, we overcame one on that second drive, getting a touchdown after a penalty. But yeah, once we got that false start on the second drive, I'm like, great. Now we're not going to score a touchdown again, just like that first drive and many drives before. So same things as usual, but even more so this game with like offensive line and Will Rogers not doing well, and then obviously our defense not being able to stop any run.
And on the flip side, I think, because it bears mention in terms of how where the score doesn't necessarily indicate how competitive the game was. Iowa's drives on the flip side of that: 3 plays, 4 yards, punt. Off the missed field goal, 9 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. Following our touchdown, 3 plays, negative 13 yards, punt. Their field goal off that fumble, 4 plays, no yards, and kicked the field goal to get points. The following drive, 5 plays, 35 yards, touchdown. To end the half, 4 plays, 53 yards, field goal. Coming out of the half,
that was
after
ridiculous.
The interception, 9 plays, 47 yards, field goal. Then they went after the turnover on downs, 8 plays, 61 yards, touchdown. A 1 play, 33-yard touchdown drive. Then 4 plays, 5 yards, 5 plays, 37 yards. They were not like Caleb Johnson is a dude and proved it. There were certainly some defensive issues on some of his long runs that shouldn't have been quite as long as they were. I'm not going to put it out on the timeline. I thought better of it. But
I'm going to say one more thing and let someone else talk. Our special teams is a huge disservice for all facets of the game. Like, obviously, missed field goals is killer, and like that's so obvious. But
Yep.
just these returns that were just given up, these short. I mean, you're mentioning these drives that weren't very long, and they're getting points. And yeah, some of them were turnovers, but they're returning the ball past the 30 every time, to the 40 on a couple of them, and like that's huge. Like you get a couple first downs, you're in field goal range, and yeah, that's killing
Not
it.
only that, but like what happened to Grady? Like
Yeah, he can't
he
kick
went
it
from this kicker who's
far.
been super clutch to, to inconsistent, to relatively bad. Like what are they practicing? You know what I mean? So
well, I mean,
I
and
agree.
kick coverage, we went from one of the best kick coverage units in the country last year. Like, it was an exception for in a lot of the games that we played last year for them to start a drive outside, past the 20.
And that was key for
Like,
us because we didn't have a great defense, but they had to get 3, 4, 5 first downs to get points, and so yeah, we needed that, and still need it.
I mean, Hooligan, you spoke to, game flow and some of the numbers, and DJ, you spoke to personnel, but I think energy and kind of being on the road played a huge part in this game too, man. I would like to start with just kind of saying like, Iowa seems like a really classy fan base. I really love, obviously what they do after the first quarter. Um, it was a really cool matchup. The color schemes and things like that. I think Washington has a lot in common. I would say like with their fan base when it comes to Iowa as well. So that's an opponent of the Big Ten that I would love to consistently see. Them come to Seattle and us going to, Iowa as well. Like that's something I would really love to see. Um, but yeah, I just think in regards to the energy, man, I kind of felt some type of way when their offensive lineman just decided to take the penalty and throw our defensive leader into the coolers. And I didn't really see nobody get in nobody's face. I know what type of, player that Thaddeus Dixon is. I didn't see that energy there. I know what type of intensity Voy brings to a game, and I didn't see any type of getting in anybody's face about a decision that was made. Somebody throws your defensive captain into a cooler and is able to just jog off and laugh it off and take the 15-yard penalty. So the energy was lacking. I don't know if it's being on the road or I just don't know if they might have felt Iowa, they defeated before the game. I don't know what it was, but it definitely was a game of body punches. I think obviously like the energy side and
Hey,
then just the physicality of the game.
real quick, like, sorry, I'll let you go, but like,
You're good.
You're right though. It's been like that all year. You brought it up before about the energy, and it's not just this game. Like the energy isn't always there, except for maybe the Michigan game. Like guy makes a big play. That's not like everyone's getting hyped up. I forgot who did it. Oh, well, stuff kind of dark at night. My bad. But there was a play on defense that one of our guys, I forgot who, I should remember, but made a tackle for loss, big tackle for loss, and he ran to the sidelines, and like no one even did anything. No one
Yep.
like was hyping him up
Yep.
or anything like that. And like because you said it a couple weeks ago, and it made me like think like, damn, right? They don't have the energy.
And I mean, obviously, like, it's one thing, when you're at home and everything is like kind of tailor made for you to kind of, amp that energy up. When you have to spark it within yourself, where's your confidence in the game plan? Where's your belief in the game plan? Those types of things, when variables like the crowd kick in and you have a false start, are you able to, as that offensive lineman, able to believe in their game plan? When you get beat off the line of scrimmage 2 plays in a row, as offensive tackles, do you say, hey, Will, I got you next play? Do you believe in the game plan? Or is it, I got you. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's different levels of that energy, and I just feel like Iowa's, their experience as a team, just overall, and then them just being in these games all the time. Their team has that experience from the staff to just the program prestige to the players. And I just think this is Washington has that prestige as well, but we just didn't have the experience on the field the tangible experience on the field to compete with, I think, the experience and the big game experience of that Iowa team, this specific Iowa team. So they did exactly.
And we're now joined by the Darker Knight. Welcome in and rocking some great Husky Couture, as we would always expect you to.
Oh man.
But Hood, I think that's a great point, and I think it's a case in point where it's probably, I think, the first time all season, or I think it's the more you've talked about it, the more it's how much we miss some of those senior leaders from last year, the guys that were on that roster that gave them the confidence, that brought that juice. I think some of the guys on this team have that vibe and can do that. They're just not really there with all of the changes that the program has gone through. It's just like, okay, how do I step into that void? I mean, and still and those are incredibly big shoes to fill when you're talking about Wyke, when you're talking about Rome, you're talking about JP, you're talking about JMac, you're talking about so many of the guys on that team.
Westy, everybody.
You're talking about a different level of it too. Like those guys were like all together. They say class of 19 and class of 2020. Like those guys have all been together through a freaking pandemic, all that stuff. So there was a level of chemistry that was off the field and on the field, that is not the same as well. So that plays a huge part as well. Like how much do these new guys even know each other?
Yeah, I think that's part of just the growing pains that we're going to experience through this entire season. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum, especially like with the Rutgers game, with our first road test. What is it? 46 players that have never traveled as a member of the Washington Huskies. So, I mean, this entire season, we're going to continue to see more road games. We're going to go to Penn State. We're going to go to Indiana, and we're going to face these teams that we just have never been in those those kinds of environments before. I did want to touch on what you said earlier, Hood, about their offensive lineman just taking that penalty. I did kind of wonder if there was a lack of reaction to that, maybe intentionally, due to what had happened through the Washington State game and the Rutgers game, where a little bit too much energy cost us. And we committed some stupid penalties. I mean, we've seen some pre-snap penalties in the last couple of games, but we haven't seen any lose your composure type penalties that we saw, especially like the Vincent Holmes penalty against Rutgers and kind of forgetting where you're at type of situation and end up costing the team. So obviously I want to see our guys stick up for our own when something happens like that. But at the same time, especially on the road in an environment like that, I'm not necessarily like going to get on them about maintaining a certain level of composure to not cost the team.
I agree with that, and the Darker Knight's gonna know this very well. There's also, I believe, there's also ways to go about that. You also can't go about it after you're getting your ass kicked, on the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? You can't go about it, a certain way. But there's ways, you can clap at people. There's things that you can say. Oh yeah, you gonna do that? Okay, yep, I got you. Let me watch you just. Nah, coach, I want to be right here, and I want to do it. And I think there's energy there too, and I think it's just there's talent. Talent is one element, but you have to like have the confidence in yourself too every play to play a team like Iowa for sure.
Yeah, you got to take on the challenge and meet the physicality play after play. It's not one play. It's not one down. It's not one critical down. It's none of that. It's play after play. You can't rest up against a team like that. You kind of saw towards kind of throughout the game, but especially when you needed to have a stop, your defensive line couldn't generate enough pressure to really impact the pocket like you needed. Where the secondary was maybe in position, for the maybe second and a half, but if you give them even that 2.5 second, I think really vividly to the swing route, that Carson was really late on when he got caught in the wash. You know what I mean? You generate pressure, and the quarterback is flustered. He has to get the ball out of his hand. The timing is off, and maybe he doesn't allow the back to get out into the flat. It's just little things like that where, you kind of look at Steve where, we're predominantly sending a lot of pressure. We noticed we didn't do that a lot this game, especially in the red zone where we could have needed that. because you're afraid now. You've been, beat so many times, with that. If you guess wrong, if you don't do something wrong, get your strong offensive line, you get beat. So it was definitely a chess match. I definitely think, Iowa came with a really good game plan. And by keeping it simple, it really frustrated us, and it didn't allow our edges to really get into the game. And then when they did, it was kind of already, the momentum was kind of already on their side.
Yeah, and that's where we miss a guy like Zach Durfee in that game. I mean, he's our most impactful edge player to this point of the season, him and Isaiah Ward, and Isaiah played a pretty decent game. But those scenarios where you need a little bit of extra pressure just to fluster their quarterback, who is not a prolific passer by any stretch of the imagination, missing a guy like Durfee in that scenario was huge.
And that's speaking to something defensive. I think offensively too. Jonah had the first explosive run of 25 plus on Iowa of any opponent all season. So why are you not consistently giving him the ball? I think one thing Iowa did was they should have showed Washington how to feature a guy when you have a stable. Iowa has a stable that's comparable to some of the better, running back rooms in the conference, and they still featured a guy. So I think at some point you're going to have to lean on Jonah to win these games. It's easier for these offensive linemen just to fire off the ball at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, now they're not going to execute with the precision of a team like Iowa, but at least you're going to get these guys in rhythm to play in this physical kind of football. And one thing we're not lacking are interior lineman depth. That's one thing we're not lacking. So let these boys fire off the ball. You need a sub, we gonna throw Zach in there. It doesn't, So I think there's a version of physical football that we're like refusing to play. We can play this like, dink and dunk game all we want to, but at some point, a guy of Giles Jackson's stature shouldn't be having to fear Higgins and Jackson across the middle. Like, why are we putting him in those types of positions? Receivers were getting popped by Xavier Wampa all day. Wampa didn't have to adjust all game. He just kept popping people across the middle. So we kind of played into their version of football for sure. So I say offensively, and what is up with this avoidance of Jeremiah Hunter? What's going on there? I know Giles Jackson. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just off of the strength of memory, I'd say Giles Jackson probably has more 50-50 opportunities than Jeremiah Hunter has all season. Down the field, in the red zone, more isolation opportunities, and that's no slight to Giles. It's just give this guy the ball, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great targets outside, and you only feature one.
Right, and
it just makes no sense.
It does lend credence to some of the, I think there's speculation that Jonah's dealing with something, from an injury standpoint. And that's honestly the only excuse that I can come up with that makes it anywhere near irrational. Yes, we were trailing for most of this game, but Jonah had 9 carries and had 80 yards. Like, 9 carries. Like, and 2 catches. Like, Jonah Coleman had 11 touches in this football game. Like,
that's wild.
What are we? And Adam Muhammad had 3 carries for 16 yards. Like, Damon Williams went, 3 for 23, was averaging 7.7. It's like, at a certain point, we've all got PTSD from it from 2021, but god dang it, like, run the damn ball.
He had a bigger workload against Weaver State.
Like, what are we doing? What are we?
Like, what are we doing?
What are
the whole
we doing
point was
here?
to save him for conference, so then we can lean on him,
and then
not reserve him.
Leaning on him less. Like,
it's so funny because, like, after the Michigan game, Jed in his presser said, or he talked about how this isn't the Pac-12 anymore. We're in the Big Ten. We got to run the ball. We got to be more physical, blah, blah, blah. And then the next week you go on the road to Iowa and you throw the ball 50 times. Like, even if Jonah is dealing with something from an injury standpoint, Adam Muhammad should be getting more carries. Cameron Davis should be getting more carries. Like, whoever it is that's carrying the ball should be carrying the ball and allowing our offensive line to assert their physicality to a certain degree, like I said.
Positively, like on offense, the twos did very, very well when they went in. Were able to execute a scoring drive, and saw some timing routes across the middle that I haven't seen the first team execute very well. Now I don't believe that Damon should be put in there as the starter, but it's I was kind of talking pre-show just about there may be some games where Will is the better option, and there may be some games where Damon is the better option. That just kind of seems like what this is going to be. Because versus there was the majority of ones that were in there. I think they're I can't speak for the D line. I can't remember if they had their ones for the D line in there, but I know they had their back end in there. Their starters in there. So
I mean, I think it got tossed around in the G season. I think to what we've seen, what you would think is meant, should be a more disruptive substitution pattern where it's mid-drive where Demond is coming in and Will's going out and vice versa. It's like at this point, it's like, Will didn't have his best game this week, but he's played pretty well, and I think Will gets somewhat of a pass on this game. Not a full pass, but like, okay, everyone's going to have a clunker here and there. Certainly Iowa's a very respectable football program, a very good football program. They have a backdoor chance to get into the Big Ten championship game, absolutely. But I think the next progression in that regard is like, let's give, even if it's to that point, give Damon drives, full drives, not just, okay, we're going to pick up 2 first downs and then, okay, Damon, you're in there for 5 plays. And then Will comes back in. Give Damon drives and see what happens. Particularly, I mean, if you look at what Damon did in this game, he was 12 of 16 for 71 yards, threw a touchdown pass, and then on the ground 3 carries for 23 yards. Like, the dude can make plays. Like,
yeah, we knew they couldn't run, especially at the second level. So you put somebody in there mobile, who their linebackers have to respect, and you're going to open up throwing lanes naturally. I saw Jed did a lot of overthinking and critical down and distances. That pick in particular, when we're throwing a quick out to the short side of the field, which makes no sense to me. Like, why are we doing that when you have the whole throwing to the boundary? You have the whole field to your left. You can literally roll the pocket and be a little more creative with option routes or whatever you wanted. Get Kalecki more involved in the game down the middle of the field. There was just no. It's almost like he got narrowed in on the intermediate, hook the curl type routes, if you notice during the game, instead of like forcing the issue and really opening up their defense. He never forced them to have to not squat on routes. So if you notice like how, especially on that Denzel play, how the corner, he didn't think Denzel was running by him, because you could tell by alignment, he's like, well, he's not running up the seam. That's his film study. You haven't asked Denzel to do that all year. So why would he do that in this game? So he's literally squatting, pick.
Yep. I mean, on 2 key plays in this game, Denzel, is too deep in the corner, undercuts the route, and then Kalecki doesn't get deep enough, and we get stopped short late, and turn it over on downs. And then I think that proceeded to, I think that was followed by an Iowa touchdown that basically put it completely on ice. So.
Mm-hmm.
And just in general, the passing game wasn't able to, like, people can throw things at Will all they want, but like the passing game wasn't able to get started at all because our offensive tackles got their asses kicked at the end of the day. Like, it did. That's just is what it is. Iowa had a play where they got a sack where both of the edges did chop spins. Both of them did it and met at the quarterback. They were playing with the offensive tackles. And for the credit here, Drew as a party has done a great job all season. So there's something different about the approach. They were only able to bring 4, or they only were bringing 4 and they were getting there. There was something that those boys were doing. So credit to Iowa's, defensive line and offensive line. So credit to Iowa's defensive line. But got to lay off Will a little bit because those tackles were turnstiles, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not going to say his name, but 68 left tackle press. Bro, like, he would the defense would just go by him and he would still be in a stance. I've never seen that. Like, there's a couple of times he didn't get out of his stance and the defensive end was already by him. Like, that's just crazy.
Soane is going to
No,
be a
we got to
really
get.
good player. I just think he's playing out of position right now.
Yeah, he's gonna probably have to be, an interior offensive lineman. But at the end of the day, too, like he is coming off a pretty bad looking high ankle sprain or whatever that
Mhm.
was. We don't know what type of reps he's been getting in practice. We don't
Not
know if he
enough.
suited up because he had to, because there was nobody else available to play his position.
But
And
then
you
you saw
can't
Khalid Tafai come in there and play pretty well late in the game. So I don't
agree.
if Sawane
Agreed.
was that injured, I don't know why we put him in ahead of Khalid when Khalid actually played pretty well.
But you throw guys like that in that whole second team in there. You throw them in there to figure that shit out. You see one thing in practice, and now you're like, well, I'm gonna give these dudes the last final drive of the game. Let's see if they can handle it. Oh shit, that receiver did. Rashid did that. Oh, okay. Oh, Decker did that. So you kind of like, especially versus teams
No,
like
no,
Iowa.
I totally agree there. But I'm saying if they were at a point where Sawane is suiting up because he quote unquote had to,
Oh, okay.
like you should have put Khalid in there. An unknown Khalid to me is better than a injured Sawane.
And still developing Soane too.
Yeah,
True.
exactly.
He was a starter beginning of the season, which is kind of interesting thinking about how
Well,
Max.
McCree wasn't healthy
Mm-hmm.
to start.
You kind of see the value of Max McCree too in that game because
I think
hear
just
his
general
name. You didn't
athleticism.
hear his name much of any since he's been you know submitted as a starter on that side.
Yep. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's the injuries. We talked about it. Not to beat the point of that. We talked about line play all preseason, all during the season, and that it was one of the spots on the team that we could not survive injuries, and we've had some, and this is the result. And honestly, I hate to bring it back up again, but it's why it's still such a killer that the on the field, off the field, on the field again, that caused the injury to Quentin Moore comes back to bite is because Quentin's essentially an extra tackle out there by himself
Mm-hmm.
that's not available to us. I mean, at this point of the season, I honestly hope that maybe he just sits it out and gets a red shirt and can come back next year so he can put
Yeah,
it on tape
that's what it
for the
sounds like
league.
is going to happen.
Some huge kind of losses as well. I say a loss is definitely Brian Parham right now as well. Like that's a huge loss. Thinking also too, it's not a loss, but it is like wildly unfortunate, man. That Carson Bruner is going through what he's going through and battling what he's battling. He hasn't been able to kind of be the same aggressive player. And it definitely hurts my feelings a little bit. He can't bring that same intensity to his tackling. You know what I mean? Because he can't bring that same intensity to getting off of blocks. And sometimes he's getting attacked, and it just is what it is. In his
Mm-hmm.
last year of eligibility, it's like he's trying to dog it out. But some teams are just gonna, like Iowa, are just gonna know where to attack. So.
Yeah, and he has to. It's kind of tough because he has to be careful because I know he's almost trying to survive the game, like get through it without, you know, causing any more damage to it. And so you can kind of see, when those linemen do get to the second level, our linebackers are catching. They're not meeting. They're not meeting any pulling guards. They're not, shooting gaps. They're just waiting and catching. And that just tells you, it's just one lack of experience of depth because you got to move Zotep around. So sometimes he's on the edge, sometimes he's in the middle, but they can literally wash him out or they can, run away from him, because they can reach someone else on the second level. So they're kind of taking him effectively out of the game. That's why you haven't really seen, especially in this game, you didn't really see him make a ton of plays. Because you can game plan for somebody like that. Like, okay, this guy's disciplined. We see this guy really understands what he's doing. He's calling out offensive schemes. He knows formations. Okay, this is what we're going to do. When he's on the edge, we're going to do this. I want you to check here. When he's in the middle of the field, I want you to check this. So you need someone else that's able to kind of be that playmaker and that alpha in the middle as well. And like I said, I think we have, a young buck who can do it. He definitely brings a physicality. It's just the experience at this point. With a few more games under his belt, I think you'll kind of see him transform into that. But until we get another guy who's going to do that, you're going to kind of see those struggles, and teams kind of try and take advantage of that.
It's also, we got to give a lot of credit to Iowa as a program, Iowa staff. Like, let's be real, like, we're talking about all of these things, and you still have to take advantage of them. The majority of the teams in the Big Ten can't take advantage of them. Like, this was not only like the staff as well, but it was an experienced team. A lot of those guys went to the Big Ten championship game a year ago. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this was a team that knew how to win. And not only that, Kirk Ferentz, what he was talking about in his, pregame pressers, he was very familiar with Washington, respected them, spoke about jersey numbers. Like, he took the game very, very serious. And a coach of that acumen taking this game serious, the players were an extension of that.
Preparation is going to be the issue.
Yep.
I will say on the bright side in terms of the look forward, and we'll do kind of a recap of the season just past the halfway mark after we do our prediction segment. But on the bright side of things, we've got a team in a couple of weeks that will see that and can do a little bit of that and has some experience depth at the running back position in Indiana. Certainly Penn State can do that. That's not USC's bread and butter by any stretch of the imagination, is doing what Iowa does. Their offensive line is not what Iowa's is. Their defensive line is not what Iowa's is. Certainly UCLA is a whole different conversation because yeesh. And then even like, and full credit to Oregon, that's a huge win. But can you see a Dan Lanning with Will Stein as the offensive coordinator at Oregon taking the Iowa game plan to try and beat the Washington Huskies at the end of this season?
Nah, that whole team, that whole program is built different. And they showed that they're built different. That they're built different. You're gonna have to bring a whole different type of vibe coming into Iowa.
Yep. Well, let's toss out the purple helmets for this week and award those, because there certainly was some good play. On not enough to get the win, but put some guys that need their laurels. So who wants to go first on? Let's start on offense.
On offense, I'm gonna give Rasheed Williams. Just came in there. We've all been wanting to see, a lot of this wide receiver depth. It's kind of been, a three-headed monster. We've kind of like wanted to see who that fourth guy was going to be. I think preseason we all had some expectation that there'd be a little bit more of a rotation. So seeing Rasheed be the first one in and actually make plays, I think he's much deserving of it. And not only that, just on his touchdown pass, just the way he kind of got through the wash, watching him kind of run some of his routes. Seeing I can see a lot of roam in him. He takes every single route very seriously. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I'll give it to Rasheed.
That Williams to Williams connection is going to be nice, and
It's going to
be Williams to Williams, and then you're going to have to Mr. Castricone is going to have to specify which Williams Mr. Williams threw the ball to, because we got Justice waiting in the wings as well. So.
Yeah, I understand how hard it is to find purple helmets, guys. Okay, but
I'm a pass on this one.
Jonah Coleman.
Yeah.
9 carries for 80 is pretty significant.
That's balling.
I'll give mine to Denzel just for the consistency. Another touchdown.
Sheesh.
Played well on the road. I will say, to your point, Hood, about Rasheed, it was nice to see him have the mental clarity and toughness to kind of withstand that dropped flea flicker pass that really could have opened the game up to start. And it'd be pretty easy for a young guy on the road in that environment to kind of get in his head about it and to kind of stick with it even through getting our asses kicked and still play well and show what he's made of through the end of that game was pretty nice to see for sure. But I'll give my purple helmet to Denzel, since you already took Rasheed, just for that consistency and that continuing to be the guy for us.
Yeah, I guess I'll give mine to D'Angelo for being steady Eddie up front, and you didn't really see a lot of pressure come, up the middle, uh, and just doing his best to win his one-on-ones and do his best to kind of call out protections, even though I know tackles had a rough day, but for the most part, the interior played pretty solid.
Yeah,
And
I will say. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I'll just say really quick, JCap, and to Denzel, also to just ever since that Wazoo game, man, I think he's hurt a little bit. I think he's hurt a little bit, and he's taking it serious. And that's just some of that kind of hometown pride, like in it. He's taking kind of in himself, and he's been very, very different since the end of that Wazoo game for sure.
Yeah, and DJ, to your point about it being kind of challenging on the offensive side, I'd say it's even more challenging on the other side of the ball. But I'll go first, and I'll give it to Sebastian Valdez. Certainly, playing through, I think he's still, dealing with something, playing through that. Continuing to show some, getting into the backfield a little bit. Certainly, the whole team, we didn't get into the backfield enough to really force Iowa into putting the game in Cade McNamara's hands, which would have played much better to our to our benefit. But certainly some good play out of Sebastian in this one.
He is, when you really look at him, he is almost unblockable one-on-one, unless he's like tired, but he still just plays with relentless effort. Like if he's fresh, good luck. Like you got to be an all-conference type of guy to really stonewall him. He's a problem.
Completely agree. He's strong.
He's a problem.
He plays with so much leverage too. Like, yeah, he's strong.
He's the one defensive lineman you see on our team with knockback every play, where a guy is
every
going
play,
straight back.
He might
There's
like
no
when you say
stonewalled, he's going backwards.
I'm gonna give mine to a defensive lineman as well. Now, I wish he got a little bit more snaps because I feel like just in these splash plays that he's able to make, when he's on the field, and that's Alenius Davis. He had a nice little PBU when he got some playing time, and showed some good skill on some other reps as well. So I would say Alenius Davis. It's a tough day for our defense, but we're going to definitely need that interior defensive line depth towards the end of the year, and kind of seeing guys like that develop confidence, and kind of get to put those practice reps on the field versus people that aren't their teammates is always dope. So I'd say him.
I mean, I'll go. It's tough, but I was looking at the stats, and I feel like it wasn't him, but maybe it was. But I mentioned the guy earlier that had like a tackle that I thought was tackle for loss, and like off the field, and no one did anything. It must have been Deshaun Lynch, and if it was him, I'm gonna give him that purple helmet for not getting any praise from his teammates, at least right away. It seemed like. But damn, I'm looking at the stats. It says Parham had a tackle. Did he play? It's not right, is it?
I was just looking up the same thing. He's credited with a tackle on ESPN, but I was trying to cross-reference PFF.
There's no way.
PFF doesn't have him listed in the stat sheet. But I think they probably just got the number wrong.
Huh. Wonder who they gave it to.
Might have been Jeremiah on the other side.
Yeah, it actually probably is. They probably credit it for number 6 on the other side.
Oh, I think it's from the interception.
On a turnover.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's from the interception.
That was Denzel.
That was Denzel.
Yeah,
That had the tackle.
Denzel credited with the tackle on that.
Yeah, it could have been a fumble. No, but that was an offensive lineman. I don't
know.
Who cares?
It doesn't
I'll
matter.
take it.
It wasn't Parham.
Me.
Yeah.
I snuck out there.
All right. Darker Knight, how about you? Purple helmet on defense.
He went through the roster.
Man. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head.
Literally going through the roster right now, looking at the stat sheet, deciding who to give it to.
I was like, feel like Odin. Like, who is worthy Yeah.
Just be a millennial and give a participation trophy to all of them.
Yeah,
The
it was
defense
just
as a whole played.
I would
No.
if I gave one to anyone, it would probably be Sebastian as well. Just for him playing through what he's playing through, but him still finding a way to flash during the game. I know it's not easy, especially. I mean, it looks like it's a elbow. It could have been a partial dislocation or hyperextension or something. It's painful, and you got to play through it, especially get the physical offensive line. And for him to do what he was able to do, I know Iowa got their yards, but much respect to him. And yeah, I would give them.
Am I tripping, or did Bandez play all right? Or maybe
Bandez
Have been playing his
He
best
made a
football.
couple plays.
Yeah, he played
couple
okay. He
plays
played
for
okay
sure.
as well, for sure.
Yep.
It's just every now and then.
Darker
That's a
Knight,
good call.
I will never criticize you for agreeing with one of my takes. That will always be allowed.
He got two purple sticks.
All right, let's go ahead and move on into our big predictions segment.
How did we do
starting
last
with
week?
oh yeah, sorry,
Dude,
JCap, we need the update.
DJ went hard last week by picking Oregon and picking against UW.
Frick yeah!
Jeez, DJ.
Get out.
Frick yeah!
Yeah. Bro has he's extending the lead a little bit. You're at 39-10 on the season so far. Hooligan will be
Not
second
bad.
at 37-12. And
Such
then
a game.
Hood and I are tied at 33-16. And then Darker Knight,
You
we
had a
missed your
bad week,
prediction.
JCap? Because I was
had a
way back
rough
there.
week. I had a rough
I was
week.
way back
That's
there.
a rough week.
I was way
Rough
back there.
week. No, and Darker Knight, we missed your predictions on 2 shows.
Oh,
so
darn. Guess I'm still undefeated.
Hey,
No, it's
shout
crazy.
out to
It's crazy though, because Darker Knight, you have 1 less in the loss column than DJ, but he's got 19 more wins than you.
That's all right. I just gave him a little cushion. I'm gonna close it real quick.
all right.
DJ's good. See, that's why I don't gamble, bro. See, look, I don't play that. That's why I don't gamble.
DJ's
right.
the most even keeled out of all of us, and he'll pick against UW, and I think that's part of why he's got the lead.
Nobody
I'm not-
anticipated Landon finding a loophole.
Yeah, I'm not picking UW on an away game until they win.
Well,
Play that.
and
I'm
I
with
just
you.
want to talk about that actually, since we're going to talk about Oregon first in terms of the predictions for this week. He's been getting a lot of credit for being, this was such a genius coaching decision, and I'm like, coming from a school that also fakes injuries at every opportunity, just because something is legal doesn't mean it's great coaching. Like finding any like sketchy way to win a football game, fuck that shit. Like, I'm sorry, but fuck that.
You're also a kind of ticky-tack offensive pass interference call away from that not even mattering.
Oh
so
my gosh!
Yeah.
When
kind
the
of over
DB
it.
initiates contact first.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Oh, that was hilarious.
But the officiating just in general this year across all of college football.
Oh, it's bad.
It's been obvious. Like,
Yeah.
obviously bad.
USC and Penn State was
Yeah.
Horrible.
terrible.
Jeez.
Kenny.
Protect
TIs on
that
one
Penn
drive?
State top 5.
All
Hey,
right.
shout out to Hooligan, though. I think he was the only one that got that Wisconsin game, right?
Hood also picked Wisconsin.
Oh,
that game.
okay. Good. Well, shout out to both of y'all then. I knew I should have.
But we'll get the Big Ten slate started this week, and it's number 2 Oregon traveling into Ross-Ade. Oregon is a 27.5 point favorite, over under at 61.5. Purdue actually discovered an offense last week after looking, moribund for weeks on end on that side of the football, and gave Illinois all they could handle and more. Tickets for this one, if you're in the West Lafayette area, Friday night, tickets as low as $10. So
I don't think Purdue has it in them to push a team to the wire twice in 2 weeks. So it's Oregon, and it's Oregon big.
yeah,
They got no chance.
Covers over the 61. Most of it scored by Oregon.
But, hey, I'm just looking at something. I don't know. The last 3 opponents ranked in the top 3 or higher have gone into Purdue once a year and have lost.
I saw that too,
You
but
got
this is a different Purdue team than those other teams.
Yeah.
We just need Dylan Gabriel to spit on somebody.
Some weird
like
things
Trishan
happen
Holyfield
on the
did.
train tracks, okay? When the train leaves the station, platform 9 3/4 is something magical up there.
He said,
He said Harry Potter.
he said, I need Dylan Gabriel to spit on somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
certainly
then issue a
cheering for Purdue,
ChatGPT apology.
and I hope the Boilermakers go chugga chugga chugga, and not just the beers in the stands, but chugga chugga all over the Ducks. But
Yeah.
That's a
no
bar.
pause.
No pause.
Yeah, I like that.
That was
But,
fire, DJ. That was fire.
Make that into a shirt.
Bro said no pause, and DJ goes, "Yeah, I like that."
That boy tired. No, but yeah, I like that.
That's crazy work.
Yes.
That's crazy.
All right.
Man.
If we can find our composure again. 9 o'clock on Fox on Saturday morning, Nebraska traveling into play number 16, Indiana. This one, Indiana is a 6.5 point favorite, over under at 50.5.
Give
That's
me
a crazy
Indiana
line
and the
for an-
over.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know, man. I got Indiana, but I think it's going to be close. I think if it's at a neutral field, I'd probably still pick Indiana, but it'd be like a toss-up in my opinion. But yeah, I think Indiana wins, but it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
Give me Indiana. Give me the over, but I don't think they cover. I think it's 5 points or less.
Yeah, I see a classic.
Yeah, I agree
shootout.
with you, JCap.
I agree with that.
Yep. Speaking of teams that showed unexpected signs of life, or 2 teams actually that showed unanticipated signs of significant life last week, and that is Wisconsin traveling into Sharon Martin Stadium in Evanston to play Northwestern. Wisconsin is a 7-point favorite, over under at 41.5. Marylanding again, and Northwestern lit them up, and Wisconsin found an offense. So,
as Russell Wilson would say, I'm gonna take a whole pack of Badgers.
Wisconsin covers in the over.
Oh,
I got Northwestern.
Okay.
Wow. All right. I thought I had a spicy pick later, but that's spicy right there. Yeah. Yeah. Give me the Badgers on this one. That was a fluke game for Northwestern last week.
Yeah. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but it was, if you want to talk pain as the season progresses, the winning percentage for Maryland under Michael Oxley, they have I think it's above 70% winning percentage in September. I think it's low 30s in October and under 30 in November. So, ouch.
Right on brand.
Yeah, I'm
way too much talent.
Yeah, Badgers win, Badgers cover. It's the over. And that one is on Big Ten Network, by the way. Final 9 o'clock game is UCLA traveling into Piscataway to play on Fox Sports 1. Rutgers a 4.5 point favorite, over under at 40.5.
UCLA is traveling to Piscataway for a 9 a.m. kick.
A 9 a.m. kick.
You're picking the most dog shit team in the conference to fly cross country for a 9 a.m. Pacific kick. Rutgers by 1 million.
They better have left today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Rutgers cannot score 1 million. So
7 will be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Rutgers for sure. Yeah, I think I'll take the points. I think it'd be under that.
Yeah,
4.5.
Definitely the under. I think Rutgers covers, but I think it's the under.
They're anticipating a close game.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I
don't know
think
why.
JCap had it right. That was my key thing was the 9 a.m. game. Like, if it was a whatever 12 something time, like I can see it coming down to the wire
If
on
this
this.
game was play,
yeah. Oh yeah.
or if this was
Yeah.
if this game
I
was
agree.
LA, I'd take
Or if it was a
Rutgers by 40.
good West Coast team traveling.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's
So
probably
yeah,
more
give
important.
me Rutgers.
If
Yeah.
Oregon goes to Piscataway at 9 a.m., they can handle. But UCLA, no.
No.
All right.
The darker knight did you pick?
Man, you know what the pick is. Come on, quit playing.
All right, he chose UCLA. Put it down, UCLA. He said.
No, he's got to be
Come
going
on.
for his fellow Knights.
Yeah,
Hey.
I can't turn my back on him yet.
there we go. His fellow
Yeah,
knight.
don't joke pick UCLA.
You're not
I will
darker,
write
but
it
they
down
scarlet.
and hold you
But
to
hey,
it.
look,
But
look, a couple hues lighter.
Huge. The
Couple
color
hues.
palette will change.
We haven't even got to noon yet.
Well, we're there now, thank God. And it is number 24 Michigan. I don't know how that football team is still ranked, but they are traveling into number 22 Illinois to play on.
How are they favored?
Because they're blue blood.
Because it's Michigan. It's this one's on CBS and Paramount Plus. Michigan is a 3.5 point favorite, over under at 43.5.
I'm
Give me
taking
Michigan
over
and the under.
43.5.
Over.
I'm taking over it, and I'm
I think. No, go ahead.
away.
Oh,
In Michigan, he said. Did you
I
pick
think
Michigan?
Michigan controls the clock. I think it's under, but I think they win.
what's the over under 43.5? You said. Give me
That's
Michigan.
tough,
And give me
actually.
the under. How much are they favored by?
43 and a half.
Three.
They're favored by how much?
Half.
3.5.
3.5.
3.5. Michigan being favored by 43.5 wouldn't happen against a high school team this year.
I got you, boy.
Because I could definitely see this as like a 28-17 type of game.
Yeah.
I'm with
That's an over 43 though.
Huh?
Yeah,
What's that?
I'm with Hood on this one.
That's
Illinois
over
wins.
43,
Illinois,
28-17.
I just think
I agree with.
I just think it's something about Michigan in October that I think they can kind of write their season. I don't know.
You can write them off. That's what you can do.
You can write them off. Look, and they ain't gonna write back you.
No, I'm gonna take Michigan in a close game.
No,
and we
I
can
agree
all
with
you guys can all cry about it next week.
DJ, what do you think?
All right, I got Illinois, but yeah, I got under. I'll put a bet on that too. Like it's going under.
Oh, look at you getting cocky now. You think just because you got a cushion? I'll put money on it too. Like, ain't nobody asked you all that. Ain't nobody tell you put your wallet away.
I think Michigan and the under. I think they showed a little bit of a sign of life on offense with Jack Tuttle against us in Husky Stadium. I think with a bye week to prepare and get him to play some offense, I think they can win at Iowa. Give me Michigan by 3, 21-18.
Yo, turn that camera around. Your brother there with a gun telling you to choose Michigan on that?
No, not at all.
Read it.
Yep.
Read it.
Nope. I agree with Hood on this one. I think it's Illinois, and I think it's the over. I think they win this one by a touchdown plus.
JCap.
Yep.
You got this.
I would say they even win by a very comfortable margin too.
All right.
Wow.
I think it's
y'all doubling down. Okay. That's what we're doing.
Real confident.
All right, let's move on to USC traveling to College Park to play Maryland. USC is only a 7-point favorite, over under at 56.5. I'll go first on this one. USC wins, covers, and probably gets close to the over by themselves.
Damn.
We just talked about Maryland's shit win percentage as the season progresses. It's going to continue USC by 10.
Yeah. Take the over. Maryland's definitely going to score.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
McLoxley is not going to field an offense that can't score. But I
Yep.
don't think they're going to be able to stop USC either. So I'm going to take USC and the over.
Yep. I'm taking USC and the over. Same thing. Fun game. Maybe like most entertaining game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So much talent on the field on both offenses.
Yep. I can't trust USC, but I can't trust Maryland more.
I thought
Give
you
me
were about to pick
USC.
Maryland. I was about to lose my
I
mind.
know.
No,
I thought you were going to pull your wallet out again.
No, not that confident, but
I
yeah, high scoring for sure.
Okay.
All right. Final game of the weekend in the conference, Iowa at Michigan State. This one's on NBC and their streaming platform that shall not be named because we'll
Shout
all
out Tugs.
die laughing.
The cock.
He just
He said, "Fuck that."
I was
He
waiting
said,
for it.
"Fuck that."
He like rolled the O.
Like,
Somehow.
He rolled the O's crazy, bro.
what time is it again? See you on the cock.
4:30.
No pause on that one.
Oh my god!
I got Iowa. I got Iowa, and I think Iowa's going to do very similar to what they did to us, but I think Michigan State might score a little more. I think Aiden Child's movement and like the off script is definitely like an advantage, that we didn't necessarily have in that game. So I think they might score a little more, but Iowa does their same forced turnover type of game. So so I think it might be over I think Iowa scored, so I think it might be over. But yeah, yep. Iowa, in a nice, comfortable win.
I think
Iowa scores more on defense than Michigan State scores on offense. So I think I'm taking Iowa comfortably.
Yeah, I'll take Iowa as well. Just don't think Michigan State can put up enough points to.
Yeah. Aiden is athletic and can move, but he's going to throw the ball to the other team. It's just a matter of time. And I think field position.
Hooligan, did you pick?
Yeah, I said Iowa covers.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm glad I'm going last. It's my spicy pick. Give me Michigan State on the win.
Oh, yeah.
Give me Michigan State.
You conceded the loss. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, DJ.
Hey,
thank you for
Illinois beat Michigan ass. Illinois going to beat Michigan ass. That's going to be the one.
Yep. And you know what? Just for fun, we're going to toss in a bonus. We're going to toss in 2 bonus games.
2 bonus games. Okay.
Because we've got a couple of other ranked on ranked. And the first one is a 12:30 game on ABC.
I know where you're going.
Number 7 Alabama going to number 11 Tennessee. Alabama is a 3-point favorite, over under at 56.5.
I'm gonna take the over, and I'm gonna take Tennessee.
Oh, Rocket Top. Yeah, I'd say Tennessee in a close one.
The concern that I have is that Tennessee's offense has started to sputter a little bit, and they do not have the receiving talent that they've had in previous years, or at least they're not using the receiving talent the same way. The counterpoint to that is, are we sure Kalen didn't take our defensive staff with him last year to Alabama? Because
this is, I think, it's going to be a rough game for Jalen Murrow. This is going to be the best defensive line he's seen all season.
Yep.
And so
and
they're going to be able to control their tops in the country and stop the run and rushing the passer. So it's going to be a long day up front. We're going to see how good Alabama's offensive line is, and we're going to see Kalen have to get in his bag when it comes to calling plays, because he's not going to have a lot of time back there.
Yep. I think this one's Tennessee's. I think they get another one against the Crimson Tide at home like they did 2 years ago. I'll take the under, though. based on Tennessee's defense. I don't think it turns into a shootout. I'll take Tennessee in the under in this one. DJ,
I agree with
Vandy
that.
still celebrate.
Yeah.
I'll go Tennessee and the over.
Okay.
Oh,
Do these ones count? These SEC games you're making us choose?
They all count.
it all
They
counts.
all
I don't
count,
want.
DJ.
I don't want to pick these
JCap,
SEC games.
Put your money where your
Yeah.
mouth is.
I just know how this year has been going and how it's going to continue going, but I also know how DeBoer pulls a rabbit out of his hat for all these big ass games. He knows how to win these big games. Like if he's going to lose another game this year, it's going to be to like a team he's going to lose to. I'm going to choose Bama. They're going to do some shit at the end of the game. Moreau's going to have a crazy play or something. So give me Bama.
Did you know Ryan Williams is 17?
Oh yeah, never
really?
knew that.
No way.
You must not watch that Vandy game.
I did. I was loving that. But like I said, just like on these big games, DeBoer,
It
like
don't matter.
he plays down to his opponents and plays up to these big games. Like that's what he did for us.
He doesn't.
But his big games for us didn't have a defense like Tennessee.
No, you're right.
Or it did, and we played them in the national championship game. But all right, let's move on to the other one. It's also an SEC game. Sorry, DJ, and it's a top 5 SEC game, and that's Georgia going on to Darrell Royal Stadium, named after a former Washington head football coach, to play number 1 Texas. Texas is a 5-point favorite. The over-under is the exact same number as it is in the Tennessee-Alabama game at 56.5. I'll go first.
56.5.
Georgia.
I say take the under and give me Texas outright.
I'll take the under, and I'm taking Georgia.
I can see that too.
I think Texas's offense is just going to run into something that's going to be like, oh shit, like this is the first like real resistance I've seen from any team in the Sarkisian era, damn near. So I think there's going to be a little bit of sputter in here. So
I just don't trust Georgia offensively to do anything.
that's why I'm taking the under.
That's why. Yeah, I just don't see them moving the ball consistently.
Yeah. Anthony Hill, the best player on the field.
Mm-hmm.
In a game full of NFL players.
Neutralized, and it's just going to be Carson Beck throwing to maybe a receiver against
But
that
do you
secondary.
think that running back stable for Texas is going to be able to at least do something?
Yeah, I think if Sark, Sark, he's going to utilize the short passing game if he can't run the ball. So he's going to either get them linebackers in space and get them to open up the middle of the field. And you got 2 NFL tight ends, you got 4 NFL receivers. You'll find a way to move the ball.
But
that's true.
But think about what happens with Sark in big games that really matter. And the chips are on the table.
That's true too.
Yeah.
The history is not.
And the history is on the opposite side for Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby's struggling to find his footing since NIL's been picking up. So he's been doing more whining than winning. So we're going to see.
That's also very true, especially in big games or late.
Dabo Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but Sark got to prove it too. So that's why I think it's a really good benchmark for Texas as well, for sure. Just like in a stat, like you see,
it's a must-win for Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So
if they want to make it to Atlanta at the end of the year.
Well, yeah. This year, I thought you meant like just moving forward.
No. They can still make it to the playoff. I'm saying if they want to play in the SEC championship, they can't afford too many more losses.
I don't know. They should toss up to me who wins. I don't know, but I'm just gonna go. Yeah, because they're a little bit more desperate. Georgia, I don't know if you call it desperate, but like they're definitely in more of a need of a win if they want to make the playoffs. Because like if they lose this, they can probably still make it with two losses, but one more and they're done.
It'd be tough.
They're playing for more. So shout out to my guy who's a diehard Georgia fan, the Mr. French Prince Francois. His name. Gonna go with Georgia.
Francois. You are something else.
Yes, sir.
Man, I've been just sitting here thinking about it the whole time. Give me the under, but give me Texas.
Ooh, whiskey. Defensive struggle.
Shit, Georgia wins. Guess who's rated number 1 in the country next week?
Oregon.
The people down south, unless Purdue gets on that train.
Hey,
Shut up.
listen. I don't.
Tell them to get on the light rail and show.
Sugar.
Is it a round trip
Listen.
or is it one way? Okay.
Listen,
I hope Purdue
I don't care if
beats
they're
that big
number
damn
one.
drum.
I
You
don't
don't
care if
care?
they're number one because Oregon with expectations never pans out. Oregon was not picked to win this game against Ohio State last week, and they pulled it off. Once they have the entire country's expectations on them, they're donezo. So I hope they're number one next week. You know what I really hope is that they go into Ann Arbor in a few weeks and lose. That'd be fucking hilarious.
In dramatic fashion too. I just want to see just them crumble.
All right. Anything else that we'd like to talk about in terms of looking back at the first 7 games of the season, in terms of what we've seen, what we've learned about the Huskies thus far this season, and what we hope to see the final 5 games of the regular season coming down the stretch?
Yeah, they played like shit and win the last 5 games. Come on. Sorry.
Short and sweet and to the point.
Analysis.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you, bro. Like, I think the team can play, much better. I think the coaching staff has actually gotten in the way of the talent more than the talent has gotten in the way of the coaching staff. I do think the talent has gotten in the way of the coaching staff. You know, as much as we're not supposed to put things on, the players, there has been some player issues. And I think there's going to have to be a way for them to muster their own energy up on the road. Like, they have to. They have to find what they're playing for. They have to find their purpose. I don't think that, going into this season, I don't know what their expectations were, but it wasn't to win the conference. And I think you're going to need to see that type of energy, win, lose, or draw. So,
quite frankly, I think the biggest thing that we need to, that I want to see moving forward, is improvement on special teams. The short fields is ridiculous. Missing that many kicks. I mean, we have 21 points that we've missed out on so far this season just from missed kicks. We lost 22 slots nationally in points per game just because of those missed kicks. So, I mean, it's something that we can't afford to have happen the rest of the year. And the short fields that we're giving away, the near touchdown returns. I mean, imagine Elijah Jackson doesn't make that tackle against Northwestern. We give up a return touchdown. How much different of a conversation it is at that point in that game. But just overall, the special teams play has been piss poor. To that effect as well, Jed, please get Denzel off of punt return. He's not providing you anything. You're risking so much putting your wide receiver 1 in harm's way like that so frequently. It's not like Rome last year where he was actually giving you something on kick return or punt return for touchdown against Cal. Denzel isn't doing anything back there. He's taking hits that he doesn't need to be taking. There are plenty of young freshman wide receivers that are quick. Put a Keith Reynolds back there. You have him on kick return anyway. But yeah, I think.
Do they just trust him just to catch the ball? They know he's not going to drop it, and they don't want to put a freshman out there
That's a part of it, and he can also break tackles as well. I think it's the blocking that's not allowing him to get busy. So, but that's special teams still too.
Yeah, and I think shout out to Coach V that he said it in the GC. I think at one point that you usually see some experienced backup players running special teams and feasting on special teams, but with how much turnover we have on the roster, it's like you're trusting true freshmen, redshirt freshmen to be your starters on special teams, and then they're just not cutting it right now. So there's some of that. There's some of the blocking schemes and the decision to, like in the Iowa game, line drive a punt and not give your kick coverage team enough opportunity to actually go down there and cover the ball and give up a huge return. So, I mean, there's a plethora of things that need to improve on special teams that will actually pay huge dividends, I think, going down the stretch, especially with how many road games we have to. We're playing 3 more road games in some pretty tough environments. The rest of this season, and I mean, you can't afford to miss kicks and give up big returns in a whiteout game against Penn State. So we're gonna have to clean that up.
Yeah, you could say, I mean, all 3 of our losses have been a huge component of that has just been field position. So, to that, with special teams, missing kicks, momentum shifts, just everything. I just think they found a way to play as badly as you can through the first half of the season. So, yeah, hopefully it was an emphasis during the bye. Because it's a big component that we relied on last year that was really clutch for us. And then 2, I just think we're nowhere near the ceiling. We don't know how really good this team can be. We have an idea, but we haven't seen them just, you have that game where you score at will or, your defense is constantly getting off the field. Like you just kind of see just like, what's the ceiling look like for both sides of the ball and or special teams. I don't think we haven't seen that. So I'm hoping that improves and we can really hammer down on what our identity is, whether that's based on a matchup or based on who we want to feature. And please, for the love of God, get Jeremiah Hunter more involved. I think he's going to be critical moving forward. Praying everyone stays healthy, but he's just that Big Ten receiver you need, who's a bigger physical hands catching receiver who can make the tough, who can, be almost a security blanket for Will in a sense where you're not relying on option routes from Giles or, Denzel just to win 50-50. You can throw it to the other side as well and force the defense to cover the entire field.
Yeah, I'll go. And this team's been the opposite of clutch except for the Michigan game. And not just at the end of the game, but like when a big play is needed in like a crucial situation, we piss down our leg and don't make the play. And no, but
Not really
we need exactly.
Shout out Coach 30.
Yeah, but those plays where someone needs to step up, no one's doing it, excluding the Michigan game, and we can't overcome that in any of those situations. And so, yeah, I want to see us do that. And I mean, looking back at that first part of the season, like I said, I don't really have much to say other than like I said earlier, they played like shit, and the coaching, players too. Not all coaching. I know we want to blame the coaching only, like Hood said, but players got to do their job too. And I will say one thing. I mean, this may be, I don't know, bringing up like a call, but I watched a couple NFL games where I seen an interception or something happen, and a couple players like take a couple steps on the field celebrating from the sideline. They don't call nothing, but Vincent Holmes dude takes 2 steps on the field, and I know it's like the letter of the law. They're not supposed to be on the field, but man, that's ticky tack like that.
Well,
EJ also too. I'll go ahead, Hooligan.
He ran right in front of
That's what it was. Yeah.
I know, but like it's just he wasn't going out there to tackle somebody. He got hyped.
It was still live. Nobody had recovered the ball. The ball could take a crazy carom, and like he literally looped right. Like I'm not blaming Vince.
I know. I'm not saying. I know. I'm just. I've seen it happen elsewhere, and it wasn't called.
It did seem like there could have been some targeting calls versus Iowa for sure, that weren't even like reviewed. Like they were able to set a tone that like we just were like, you can do this shit, like you know what I mean, like, and I think we just to the edge of dirty. And if I think it wasn't two perceived classy teams, then like I think it would have been a different conversation. But the throwing Zotup into I just think we weren't ready to match that type of get down and dirty. And moving forward, I would say too, that's something that we probably gotta figure out. Can we get there?
I'll strengthen my statement earlier in the podcast, just so that we switch it up from 2021, and I'll say run the fucking ball.
Yep.
Like, just like that's a coaching thing, but it's also a team thing. It's like line up, let's kick some people's teeth in. It's gonna like, how do you keep like we'll talk about the Indiana game next week, but how do you keep an offense that's been really, really explosive off the field? Do what we did against Iowa, against a defense that, while good, it's not the same kind of unit that Iowa brought to the table. You can mitigate some of what Indiana does by doing what we did against Iowa and just marching the ball down the field with 14-play drives that take half a quarter off the clock.
And it's clear that there's some things that, there's something that that Will is better at, and there's clear that there's something that DeMond is better at. What I would say is in the second half, kind of try to hone in on those things, because we don't have really like an intermediate to a deep attack over the middle. And it did seem like that kind of came pretty easy to DeMond. So I think based on what you need, based on what you're seeing in the defense and what it presents to you, I think they have to get a little bit more clever. And to your point earlier, kind of give DeMond maybe full drives based on the defense and basically what they're showing. Force them to adjust and force them to change, maybe like similar to what Michigan did with Orgy and Tuttle. Maybe 1 or 2 drives is all you need to put some points on the board, whether it's 3 or 7 or 6, right? And that gives you the separation you need for the game. That quick adjust, forcing the defense to adjust. So just honing in on utilizing the quarterback situation a little bit better. It's been pretty solid so far, but locking in on that, because we're going to need that to win games.
Yep. And I'll chime in with just a couple more things, and certainly kind of, bigger picture. Obviously, I want to see us continue the home winning streak, pick up a win against USC, beat UCLA, get to bowl eligibility, keep that home winning streak going, and build momentum into 2025, show what this offense can be. And that's, again, kind of going to what you were saying and bringing back up, giving DeMond a whole drive, build that, momentum in terms of there's still a ton of recruiting to be done. There's a huge, 2026 commitment that's coming tomorrow. I don't have any insight on where Helaman Kesawaga is going. Obviously, that would be a massive get to kickstart the 26 class. But just keep that momentum. It's not going to be a year where we're in the national playoff conversation like we had, maybe hoped or had an outside shot to be. But you have to stay as relevant and keep the brand up there and really springboard that into the off season and recruiting and building toward the 2025 season and still making, what you can of what's left of the 2024 season.
I'm preparing myself for pain the rest of the season. I'm not even talking about UW football, really. I just like Oregon, the way they're playing, fucking Bama. I'm expecting a Bama Oregon national championship or some shit like that, and I'm gonna be on.
Well, aren't you a ray of sunshine, DJ?
Yes, I know. It's been like this all year, and I hate
podcast.
it. I hate this. Sorry, I'm just everything has gone wrong.
Dress.
Yeah.
I hate your socks.
Hate.
Well, if you're talking about hating the way somebody dresses, you're talking about Alabama fans and Kalen DeBoer right now.
Oh yeah.
How dare you wear a
They
t-shirt?
got a problem with the t-shirt.
He asked for this. He asked for it.
He did. He knows what he signed up for.
I'm not defending DeBoer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm
No.
pointing out that. All right.
I will
Any other thoughts, Ref?
I will say, DJ preparing for pain, whether it's UW or not, this is college football. We're going to win one that we do not expect to win. We have some tough games on the schedule. We might lose a fucking shitty one, but we probably will pull off a big one. We have a few big road games left. We're going to go to Penn State. We're going to go to Otts, and we're going to Indiana. And then we have USC and UCLA at home. We're going to win one that we shouldn't win, because that's just how the sport goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Some players are going to get healthy. Some players aren't going to be available for other teams as well. So
yeah. I mean, we're going to win one that we shouldn't win. We might lose one we shouldn't lose, but really right now that's only UCLA. So if we lose that, I might be on suicide watch, but it's fine.
Join the club.
No, but we'll win one we shouldn't win. And I mean, there's too much talent on this team to go 0-5 down the stretch, or even 1-4. We're gonna win one we shouldn't win, and it'll be fine. And then we'll, like Hooligan said, build momentum into 2025. I mean, we already have a pretty great recruiting class. There's still some big fish out there. I know Kevin Cummings is
Pun intended?
down. I know Kevin Cummings is down in Texas this weekend, visiting a certain wide receiver that we might be trying to flip from that one of those teams we beat recently. So there's still some big recruiting to be done.
Would you play for a team that is like terrified to throw the football?
Exactly.
I mean,
but we have a lot to
in terms of wide receivers.
True.
I'm still standing on my 8-4 prediction.
Okay.
10 toes.
You're standing on what?
8-4.
My 8-4 prediction.
I thought I was being optimistic when I said 7-5. Though.
Hold on, my Bluetooth. Hey,
yeah.
Hello. You know, be tripping sometimes.
Yeah.
It's that 4G LTE.
So get this man some Essentia. He needs some milk.
Go Huskies, man.
Yo, 8-4 is crazy. I mean, if we go 1-4 the rest of the way, just let the one be Oregon, please.
Por favor. Por favor.
Knock him out of the Big Ten, playing in the Big Ten championship or something like that. Yeah.
Oh my.
They'll still be playing in the Big Ten championship because I don't think they're going to lose the rest of the way before that game.
The schedule pretty easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Yes. So how do they get to such an easy schedule? Sorry, this is me going back.
We had an easy schedule too and lost, so I can't say shit.
Well, so far,
our
but we have a tough schedule.
So far has been pretty low.
We're going to look back on that team and be like, how the did we lose?
Yep, exactly.
Rutgers, oh my goodness.
So we lost to Wazoo because of 16 penalties, and we lost to Rutgers by 3 when we left 9 points on the field by missed kicks. So
you don't make a bowl because you lost to Wazoo and Rutgers. You know how much that's going to eat at you in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just think about that.
It's eating at me now. It's not even the off season.
I know.
Yeah. But if we miss a bowl because of it, it'll eat at you more.
Sweat.
Well, and this team needs those 15. Those teams need this team needs the practice with all the young guys and to really
Damon Williams getting extra practices with that receiving core is going to be huge. So we need to make bowl eligibility.
It's a late bye too, bro. Like I think if we had a bye a little earlier, I think it would have benefited some preparation, emphasizing some cultural things, especially like after big games like Michigan, resetting the team, or like before you go into Big Ten play, being able to reset the team. Like it just had to go. That 1-0 was tough because it was, and 1-0 it was such different program styles. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, you might face Rutgers and Northwestern, similar last year, but it's your first road game. You know what I mean? Or like, there was always a variable that was like a first for the team. Like, how do you get this, this team amped up for this or that or this or that? It always seemed like something. So like, hone in on that identity, like you guys were mentioning earlier, and it may not have to be manufactured every game.
To quote Jed, the standard is this, like, and the standard we should be holding. The standard is the standard.
Booyakasha.
Yeah, a bye week after.
And that goes for coaches too, by the
Wazoo.
way, Jed. The standard is the standard, and that's everybody in the program, not just the players. That's
true.
Particularly, actually, the head coach and the coaching staff, and the administration and the department and all of that. So,
all of them.
All y'all. We ride with you, but we also be like, step it up.
Please, and thank you.
All right. I think that about does it. Thanks for listening. We will be back next week to preview Indiana. We're doing some work to get our some correspondence going with our colleagues from Indiana on the Hoosier Huddle. So hopefully we'll be able to find a time to do a little crossover. But thanks for listening. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Dogs.